I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Literary Apothecary, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to another Wheel of Time reading vlog. This one is going to be talking about if you can see that, oh my gosh, the Shadow Rising, book 4 in the Wheel of Time series. This one is huge. My copy from the library says over 900 pages long. So this is going to be a long reading vlog, I imagine. I'm just getting ready to get started, so I don't have any thoughts yet. But I'm excited to see where events from book 3, The Dragon Reborn, lead into book 4. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy what you see. So chapter 1 had an epic feeling, was super long. It was like 50 pages long. Not a lot happened, but a lot was revealed. So Min has made it back to Tarvalin and the White Tower, and she speaks with the Amerlin Sea. As she makes her way through the White Tower up to the room with the Amerlin Sea, she gets her visions again. She gets these visions of violence and death, and at least 3 Aes Sedai are going to die, and something terrible is going to happen at the White Tower. She tries to warn the Amerlin Seat about this, and the Amerlin Seat says no one must know you're here. She's going to send away Gawain and the Accepted that saw her into the Amerlin Seat's room, so they cannot give her away. Min tried to say that this future event at the White Tower could possibly be the White Cloaks. Amerlin Seat does not believe that. I think they both believe that it's going to be Rand, but neither of them wants to say it into words. Then we get men that are on the hunt for Perrin, who killed this guy's father. And from the sounds of it, from the text and especially the narrator's voice for this certain character, it sounds like maybe one of these people with them is Padan Fain. So that's been happening. It's not been confirmed yet that it's Padan Fain, but that's my thinking. And then at the very end, we get this other scene with the Sanshin, and an Aes Sedai has been captured by them. It doesn't really reveal a lot about it, but it's menacing, and I know it'll come back into play later on in the book, if not in just this next chapter. So that was an epic, huge first chapter. So before I get to my gripe already, or so far, with this book, I will first read off a quote that I have marked in chapter 2. This is about Perrin. Perrin is with Fail. So Perrin and Fail are together now. He's trying to not like her, but he's having a hard time resisting. She's also getting on his nerves, and it says he only just stopped another sigh, meaning like, okay, I just stopped myself from sighing already, and now you're gonna have me sighing again. Like, he's so exasperated with her that he can't do it. So in this chapter, we get Perrin, Mat, and Rand. They're all in similar but different situations right now. Like I said, Perrin and Fail are together. He had some kind of a dream where an axe was thrown at him by what he thinks is Rand. Mat is off on his own journey. He's been kind of gambling like he does with some men, and his luck has just increased even more than it already has. I'm not quite sure how this luck works. I don't know if I missed the explanation of that or we haven't gotten it yet, but that's where Matt is, hearing all of these rumors about Rand, the Dragon Reborn. And then we get Rand section of this chapter. And Rand is with this woman that is, I'm not sure what she is. She kind of lays herself out for Rand, and he denies her. And then he goes into kind of a vision, just like the others, where he can get injured. He does get injured several times. Basically, what he thinks has happened is that one of the Forsaken is coming after him, and these kind of not hallucinations, have fought him, and they disguise themselves as himself. And so he's fought them, kind of, defeated them, but he's got all of these wounds now. And the other thing I wanted to point out about this chapter, writing-wise, the very end, after, he gets through his battle and everything, before he sends for Moraine to come and heal him, it says, the very last chapter says, or the very last two sentences in that chapter say, in a moment he would speak to the Aiel outside and become the Dragon Reborn again. But for now he only wanted to sit and remember a shepherd named Rand al'Thor. And that was such a great way to end that chapter. Now, speaking of the chapters, here's my gripe with this book so far. Yes, we're at book 4 now. Some of the chapters have been long in these books, but this book is a little ridiculous in its chapter length. Chapter 1 was 50 pages. Chapter 2 is, 30 pages, but really long chapters. I'm only through 2 chapters and I'm already at page 82. And it doesn't feel like I don't have a problem necessarily with long chapters in themselves, but it feels like these chapters are longer than they needed to be. With all these different points of views, it feels like Robert Jordan could have cut them either at each one of the different points of views, or, at least only include some of them in the chapters. It feels like these chapters are unnecessarily long. And that's my main gripe so far through 82 pages, but only 2 chapters. Like chapter 2, I feel like could have been split up into 3 parts, with Perrin's part, Matt's part, and Rand's part. But instead we have them all in one long chapter, and it makes it hard for me as a reader. Every reader has their own experience with these books, but for me, it makes it hard to take in everything that happened in this chapter because it's so long and so much happens. So that's my main gripe so far, but yeah, I will carry on here and see what happens. So chapter 5, we're now back with Elaine, Egwene, and Nynaeve. Moraine has been in and out, I guess. They've got 2 of the Black Ajas under arrest, essentially, trying to get information from them. One of them spins them this tale that Liandrin is planning on setting loose a false dragon and claiming that he's Rand al'Thor to set up Rand for a whole bunch of murders. They say they don't believe this story, that that's the real plan of Liandrin, but they also can't ignore it, because what if it is? And then at the very end, Moraine storms into the room, and it said, for once the Aes Sedai's serenity had vanished, fury painted her face. So Moraine is pissed off at something. The chapter lengths are smaller right now where I'm at, more manageable, easier to read at once. Those first couple chapters were just too much. Yeah, I am very much invested in what's happening. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. So chapter 7, Elaine and Egwene confront Rand. They're trying to help him figure out how to essentially take control of his power. Egwene tells him about how she uses the one power, and he says it's completely different from him. He has to take control of it, and not she just lets it happen to her, and he says he has to take control of it. So we get a little bit more information on the one power and how it's used by men and women. Egwene also tells him that she doesn't love him anymore, but he'll find someone, meaning Elaine, to love. And he's a little hurt by this. He thought that Egwene would love him forever. So it'll be interesting to see how he bounces off from this. And then at the very end of the chapter, we get this quote that I wrote down. Everyone said Two Rivers men were stubborn, but they could not match Two Rivers women. And that made me chuckle because they're all stubborn people in this book. Everyone in this book is a stubborn person. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go now that Elaine has de-professed her love for Rand. And they're trying to work through the powers and all of this stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. So chapter 9 ends in a big way. We have Rand and Lanfear in basically a face-off. She tries to assert that Rand is hers and he's really Lewis Theron. Rand says, look, you were incredibly brave and courageous, and I thank you for that, but it's only been friendship here. And she's like, oh, you've been marked. And then she goes on to say how the Dark One, the Dark Lord, has Rand essentially slotted for huge things. He wants to put Rand over everyone else, all of the Forsaken, and she says that Lanfear and Rand / Lewis Theron can rule the world, essentially, the universe, overtake all of the Forsaken and even the Dark Lord himself, and just take over everything. And Rand's like, yeah, no, thank you. So that is it'll be interesting to see what happens here. How does Lanfear react to all of this? Because she's been so convinced that he's Lewis Theron come back and that he is hers forever, and she is convinced that they're gonna rule the world together, even when he says, no, I don't want it. She's still convinced that it's gonna happen. So it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. There was a quote that I wrote down near the end of the chapter. This is Lanfear speaking, and she says, prophecy is no more than the sign of what people hope for. And then she goes on to talk about how if Rand goes on to try to fulfill this prophecy, he's only going to, it's only going to lead him to the Dark One and his death. But that part about prophecy, no more than what people hope for, is something that I've heard hinted at a lot in books, but never put in exactly those terms. And so it's interesting to see that. So I'm going to read one more chapter tonight, and then I'll pick this up again tomorrow. John's out of town this week, so that means I'll get a little bit more reading done than normal. Yeah. So stuff have happened. I had thoughts earlier and I forgot to record when I should have, so I'm gonna try to gather them all. We'll see how this goes. I already can feel them like slipping out. So chapter 15, I believe it was, um, both Rand and Matt went into the Tiangrial at the same time, not knowing it, asked their questions, got their answers kind of. We don't really see Rand in it. We just hear that he went in it from Moraine after Matt comes out, because we're in there with Matt the whole time. And Matt is Matt and gets very frustrated very quickly. And even though before he goes in, he reminds himself that he needs to ask 3 very specific questions and has to be very careful about how they're asked, he like goes off on the beings in the Tangrial, because his first question is very specific. He starts off good. He asks if he should go home to save his people, or to fight for his people, something like that. And then the answer that they give him is not what he wants. It's about going off to some other place. And so then he like goes off on them and is like, why do I gotta go there? And they give him an answer because he asked a question, and then he goes off about that. And then they mention at the very end, after he's technically asked 3 questions, that is something about his fate. And so then he tries to ask like, what about my fate? What fate are you talking about? And he's asked his 3 questions already, so they don't let him in there. They don't give him another answer, and so there's that. There's supposedly some woman that he's gonna fall in love with. Yeah, we don't really know what Rand asked. Moraine says that she tells Perrin or Nynaeve and Egwene and Elaine, like, if she could ask them what Rand had to do, then she would, but it's not that simple. Before all this happens, Rand and Perrin and Fail all fight off a bunch of Trollocs. So Rand's ego that he doesn't want, that he has now as a Dragon Reborn, is puffed up even more. Yeah, we get some craziness with in chapter 16, we're back with Egwene and Elaine and Nynaeve, and they're trying to figure things out. They know they have to leave soon. Elaine is torn because she wants to be with Rand, but she's got to leave. Perrin and Fail, in their own separate ways, have convinced Loyal to use a gateway and bring Perrin back to Two Rivers to help save his people. They're all convinced in their own ways that Two Rivers needs their help saving. So that's where we're kind of at now. At the end of chapter 16, we also get a interaction between Lan and Nynaeve. And Lan basically tells Nynaeve that when she dies, he dies, and so she can't die. Basically saying that their hearts are connected now, and he can't live without her. So, yeah, I am enjoying this look into this world so far. It's going a little bit slow, a little bit in circles. Like, we keep having these same kinds of conversations over and over and over again. Eventually, they've got to make headway on it. I know it's a long series, and this is going to continue to be a problem. Not problem. This conversation's not going to be the end. This kind of thing will happen more in this series. It's not going to deter me away from finishing the series or the book. It's just an observation that's like, okay, we've already been here more than once now. It's time to get the story going. Yeah, that's it for now. So I'm up to chapter 22 now, just finished chapter 21. This will probably be the last check-in for this week. I can almost guarantee it. I'm still hoping to get this up Thursday morning-ish. We'll see. If not, then definitely by the evening. So what has happened now? There's parts that I think I might have missed if I might have fallen asleep last night. Because there's parts that don't quite make sense. We have Rand and Moraine and Lan are together. And apparently Nynaeve and Elaine have gone off, continued their mission, but Egwene has stayed back and is now going to be going someplace to learn from the wise ones. That Moraine suggested or something. Y'all can correct me if what I'm getting wrong, because I'm sure I'm getting a lot wrong here. Moraine's also sent Tom Merlin and the Thief Catcher with Nynaeve and Elaine. They're going off on, they're on a boat right now, a ship, and it's interesting because the other day on Ben and Grace's Discord, there was a whole discussion about how a lot of times in literature or movies or whatnot, ships, just like a lot of other modes of transportation, are referred to in the female gender. And, you know, they were trying to think of examples where ships were males. I think they brought up, I want to say they brought up the Farseers, Robin Hobb. I forget they had like a couple examples, but then I got to, when I was listening to that audiobook this morning then when I was listening to my audiobook on the way home from the library this afternoon, we get that exact discussion here in The Shadow Rising. The ship that Nynaeve and Elaine are on is a he. It's a male ship, and they have this whole discussion about how I think Elaine says, aren't ships usually female? And the person that she's talking to says, well, this ship has a heart and ships and lives as much as a male or something like that. I wish I had the exact quote, but something along those lines. So it was interesting to see that discussion play out after we just had that on Discord. But yeah, my brain is not working well right now, so I'm just gonna end it here. I'm up to chapter 22, which, you know, this is a big book, so that's probably maybe 30% of the way through this book. This is slow going, of course, and I'll check in with y'all again soon. Now I'm up to chapter 25, and chapters 23 and 24 gave me some answers that I had missed earlier in the book. So we learned that, well, first, so far in one of the previous chapters, we've learned that Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine they're all pretending to be Aes Sedai now. They've got an Aes Sedai ring, but they haven't been full-fledged Aes Sedai yet, I don't think. But they are pretending to be Aes Sedai of the Green Aja. And someone out there will remind me what's significant about that colored Aja, because I don't remember at this moment. In chapters 23 and 24, we see kind of Rand and Matt and Egwene's journey with Moraine to this, what is it called? To Ruidine. So Moraine and Egwene are now with the Wise Ones. They are people that they're the Dreamwalkers, and Egwene is going to learn about dreamwalking from them. And they have explained to Moraine and Egwene that not all Dreamwalkers are Aes Sedai. Some are, but not all of them. And we have also learned, or maybe I was reminded if I missed it earlier, that they're all now here in Ruidine because Moraine got a note back in Tyr that the 4 of them must go to here, to Ruidine. So Moraine and Egwene are learning from the Wise Ones, and Matt and Rand have gone on to the heart of this city. That was their mission. And, well, Rand is going there, and you come out of the heart of the heart, either a Aiel clan chief, mad or dead, I think they said. It's not good, unless that's one of the things that you really want. So Rand has said he needs to go in there alone. Matt agrees, and then as Rand enters into the heart, Matt finds another doorway that he thinks leads him to the Tarangrial, where you ask 3 questions and get 3 answers. He goes through this whole maze led by this weird, creepy guy, and he comes across more people that are supposed to give him answers. He asks questions. He's sure not to answer more than one, but he demands his answers, and I think he pisses them off or something. Something happens between him and these people, and they say there's a price to pay. He'll get what he wants, but first he has to there's a price. They don't tell him what price is, but then everything goes black for Matt, and he feels something around his neck, and he can't breathe. So he's essentially being hung. And so that's where we're at now. I wanted to round this check-in up by saying I am a little less than halfway now, I think it looks like, and this is shaping up to be one of my favorites, actually. I think right now this is slightly behind the book 2, which was The Great Hunt. This, as of right now, is ahead of The Eye of the World and The Dragon Reborn. We'll see where I feel at the end of this book as I get further in, but right now I'm really enjoying this one. So I can't wait to talk about it with everyone at the live show. And yeah, I'm coming up on halfway, so not quite to halfway yet, but we're getting closer. I'm farther than 25%, less than halfway. We'll leave it at that. So that's it for now, and I'll check in again soon. So chapters 25 and 26 were with Matt and Rand. Well, really Rand. Matt comes in at the end. So Rand goes into a Tangrial and sees these kinds of visions, goes into these people's heads. They're the Aiels, and, they've got fighting and war and strife going on. They don't believe in killing. It goes against their beliefs, their religions. This one group of Aiel men had to kill to save their own lives, and because of that, one of them, the leader of them is banished from his tribe, banished by his own parents. And he did it to save his daughter, or not his daughter. Sorry, my brain is mush. He did it to save his sister. And we get these different groups of Aiel men, and then at the very end, the last one that we see, one of them accuses another of being a supporter of the Forsaken, and we see, well, I guess this is the second to last one. He runs away essentially, and he's looking for, I guess, his friend, who is then hanging, and then the next one we get is his friend leading a bunch of people. And then Rand comes out of the Tangreal to find Matt hanging. He saves Matt. They battle some, like, mist creatures from the Dark One. They get all caught up from it, and then they run back to the mountain where the others are waiting for them. And that's where that chapter ends. So this is big, not only story-wise, because, is Rand really an Aielman or not? If he is, what does that mean for the prophecy? Because if they, even some of them, support the Forsaken and the Dark One, he's supposed to fight the Dark One. What does that mean for the prophecy? But it also is, more world building. So far, what I've learned and what I've loved most about this series is the world building. Robert Jordan just does an amazing job of building out his world and making sure all the corners are touched, but also making sure that they all touch each other. They're not just there to be there. We don't have points of views just to have them, which is what a lot of fantasy writers can fall into, that trap. They want to build an expansive world, but they forget to tie it all together to each other. And that's where I struggle with some fantasy books. But Robert Jordan does a fantastic job of making all of the aspects of his world tied together, and all of the points of views that we get come together, and they're not just there to be there, but they're there for a purpose. So I'm really, really enjoying this book. I think I'm almost 50% now, so making good progress on it, and I can't wait to check in again. So chapters 29 and 30, Perrin and Fael and Oil make it back to Two Rivers, and he finds that things are a little bit different there. The Trollocs came and attacked again. They've killed Perrin's family. Matt's dad is hiding away, and Rand's dad is hiding away. Matt's family have been kidnapped, and the mayor's wife is kind of in league with two white cloaks. So things are getting really, really interesting. I know this is going to become a major through line through at least this book, if not the whole series. Perrin returning to Two Rivers and trying to help them out. So I'm interested to see where this goes. So chapters 31 and 32, we're back in Two Rivers with Perrin, and someone was in my hair. And Fael and all of them. Perrin has now met up with Matt's dad and Rand's dad, Tam, and he tells them that they're doing well, and can't really tell him much details because he doesn't want to get into that conversation, but yeah. And then they're off. They talk about the White Cloaks that are up watching the town. Apparently the White Cloaks are driving the Trollocs away from Two Rivers. I'm enjoying this book overall. Maybe my second or third favorite book so far, but it also, this part was kind of boring. Really slow moving. That part in the story where they got to gather information. In Robert Jordan form, they gather information for a very long time. So this part is a little bit boring, slow, ready for something to happen again, but you know it's going to happen sooner or later, so you trudge through the long parts. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. So we're up to 494 out of 917. So coming up on the halfway mark, I really need to kick it into gear to finish by our live show next week. Chapters 33 and 34. In chapter 33, Perrin essentially leads Matt's dad and Tam Rand's dad on Trolloc raids. They're going to fight the Trollocs. There's, a lot of talk in this. It's rather a slow chapter. But at the end, he leads them to these raids. They're going to fight the Trollocs. In chapter 34, we're back with Rand and Matt and Egwene, and Rand learns about his true parents who were Aiels, and he learns that his true father, not Tam, was a clan leader and a very powerful one, and the Aiel woman that he's talking to says that he has the looks of his mother in him, and so he learns about them. Moraine and Avienda come back, and then Moraine falls. She essentially faints or something. She falls and stumbles. So now that the Aes Sedai have to help her, the Aemon have to help her. We don't know what's going to happen with her. And at the very end of that chapter, Rand says he's about to break some rules in a way no one expected. So that's where we left off there. I'm really hoping to get at least most of this read in the next week, so I don't have to scramble around Friday, Saturday morning to finish it all by the live show, but we'll see what life has in store for us this week. Chapter 35, in the Shadow Rising, we're back with Egwene and Nynaeve and Moraine, and Egwene is doing her dream walking thing, and she has a conversation with Elaine. And there's a couple things that we learn in this conversation that Egwene and Nynaeve are learning from the Aiels and the other Aes Sedai there, that how to control the weather, essentially. And she mentions that Tom Merlin is mad, and Elaine is worried that something she wrote in one of the 2 letters she gave to him to deliver to her mother is why he's mad. She's worried that she angered him. We don't know what it was that she thinks angered him really, but she's very concerned that it was something that she wrote. So that's an interesting development. I'm really loving. I want to know more about this dream walking, this dream magic. Those are some of my favorite parts in these books, and I want more of it. At the very end of this chapter, we get Moraine back. She's very quiet and reserved and almost weak. And this is a totally different Moraine than what we've seen before. So, yeah, Egwene asks her, basically, how bad was it back in Ruidane? And Moraine says, eventually the memories will fade. Some of them are already gone, but, some will stay because the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and we're just a thread in that pattern. So There's been interesting stuff developing in this chapter. Also, the character Amis is quite a pill. She is something else. She will give like just about anyone in this book a run for their money. So yeah, stay tuned for more on that. So chapter 41 in The Shadow Rising, we learn more about Fail. She's actually a lady. Her dad is Lord Baylor, I think he said. And she's lost her two brothers, and now she's the eldest and has to do the eldest duties. And when she heard of the great hunt, she essentially ran away to become a hunter. Perrin tells her about his wolf thing, and she says, she loves him, and if he could just tell her mom that he's king of the wolves, then everything will be great with her family. So this is a huge moment for Perrin, because, we've made jokes throughout the series so far that, like, all the boys think that one of the others are better with women, and this is the first time, really, that we see someone actually going into kind of a relationship. This whole time, of course, Perrin has been trying to deny it, but it's been there the whole time. Whereas, Rand since he was a baby, he was essentially betrothed to Egwene, but now they can't get married together. He's kind of got Elaine, but kind of not, because he's off doing his Dragon Reborn stuff, and Elaine's off being an Aes Sedai. And Matt has been kind of the Joker ladies' man, but doesn't have anyone really. So this is kind of a big moment as far as character development. And I will be interested to see where this goes from here. So chapter 47, I am like a quarter of the way in, but things are happening and I have to check in now. And I'll check in again later when I have stuff to check in about. But, what was her name? I can't remember her name now. So Elida has taken over the White Tower. She's deposed the Amerlin seat, sent her down to prison, has taken over. Everyone is going crazy, and I am really interested to see where this all goes, because this is getting crazy. Okay, of course, I should have seen this coming, but not only have they disposed of the Amerlin seat, but they stilled her. They took away her Aes Sedai magic. And so this is getting even more wild. I never saw this coming. And now I think I've just reached a part where maybe Min is coming to set the Amerlin seat free. So I'm going to get back to this until it's time for dinner. So I'm going to end this weekly reading vlog here. I've just reached chapter 49, titled Cold Rocks Hold. Everyone is on their journeys that they're supposed to be on, essentially. Egwene and Rand and Matt are on their way with the wise ones, and Elaine and Nynaeve are on their way. Perrin is back at Two Rivers. He is recovering from a wound he got fighting the Trollocs, and everyone's got their missions that they're on. It feels like we're getting into that like avalanche mode where things are just gonna start to happen really fast. I've got about 4.5 hours left in the audiobook, so I'm going to definitely finish it off today. Up to chapter 50 now. So in chapter 49, we're with Rand and Matt and Moraine and Lan and, that whole gang. And give me a second. So a couple things to note here. Here we see Moraine much more subdued again when she's around the Goshen. She is much more quieter, subdued, as I said, less outspoken, and this is unusual to see still. And it only happens around the Goshen, so I'm assuming it's something with their people, and how they treat Aes Sedai, but there's that going on. We also learn that both Amis, who was the woman that last time I said was, quite the pill, she's something to take in, her, and also Lien, they are both married to Ruark, which is, I think, the first time in this series that we've come across a married couple that is more than just husband and wife. There's two wives and one husband, sister wives, as they actually refer to it in the book. So that happens. Now I'm going to get back to this because I really want to finish this within the next couple hours so I can move on to other books and prepare myself for the live show. So yeah, that's going to be it for now, and I'll check in again soon. So chapter 50 now. There are people kind of haunting or watching Rand in his sleep via his dreams, dreamwalking, which totally freaks him and everyone out, including Moraine a little bit. So now he's off to speak to the clan chiefs, because Ruark said that they offended Saviana and her clan, the Al-Khair Dal, which is where now Rand is going to. He says he's going to talk to, any of the chiefs that feel like he's dishonored them, to try to, I guess, apologize and get any kind of help he can get. So there's that. And he wants, any help, anyone that is willing to go with him to help. And that's kind of where we left it off. There may have been land fear in this scene. It was a dream scene, so it was a little unclear of what actually was happening, but that's where we've left it off in chapter 50, so things are getting a little spicy. So chapter 53, Fail is about to go to Caemlyn and seek help from Queen Morghese because Two Rivers is under attack of Trollocs. Loyal has been able to seal the Waygate, but there were so many Trollocs coming in that he barely made it back to Two Rivers. He is not doing well now. And then at the very end of that chapter, Perrin and Fail get married before she goes off. Wow, unexpected turn for Perrin's character. But I'm loving this. I need more Perrin in this. I'm loving his character so much. So I want more Perrin and more of this dream walking that Egwene does, and Perrin has his wolf dreams. I need more of the dreams because these are the most interesting parts for me. Chapters 54 to 55. Nynaeve battles a Forsaken. What's her name? Mohegden. Nynaeve battles her. She gives her quite a fight, but the Forsaken escapes somehow because, so the Forsaken escapes because if I remember this right, a Sanchin that Nynaeve recognized comes in with a staff that spews out balefire, and she threw out balefire, and then the Forsaken disappeared. No one has any idea where she went or how she even went any place, because Nynaeve swore that she had her sealed off with the power. So that is what's happening now. I am less than 100 pages from the end now. Maybe a couple chapters, 3 chapters away from the end. So we're just going to probably, unless something crazy happens, which is a good possibility, my plan is to maybe try to just knock the rest of this out and then check in again at the end. Unless there's something that I feel like I have to talk about, then I'll come back for more check-ins. So that's the plan now. We'll talk to y'all again soon. Just finished the book. 5 out of 5 stars. Such a good ending. Rand battles yet another Forsaken. He defeats him. He kind of blackmails him into joining him and helping him rein in his power and control his power. He threatens Lanfear. Like, this is like a whole new Rand that we see. At one point, it was leaning towards maybe everyone bringing all the clans together. Like, Perrin is off doing his thing, bringing all of Two Rivers together. Rand was talking to all these different clans, and I thought maybe they would all come together and support him once he shown that he was the Dragon Reborn. But then this other guy, who I forget his name already, but he, before Rand could do it, he showed signs that he was the Dragon Reborn. So there was 2 Dragon Reborns, and no one knew really who to follow. And then they were turned out to be terrified of Rand, and they all flew. So it kind of ends just like that. I am really excited to see where this series goes. I will need more Perrin in the next book and more Dreamwalking, as I've said, but that's a wrap for The Shadow Rising. 5 out of 5 stars. I can't wait to talk about it with Leslie and Anita, maybe Anita and maybe Stacy, although probably not Stacy, and I don't know if Anita is going to be able to finish in time. But anyways, I can't wait to talk about it on our live show this Saturday. So excited. So thank you guys for watching and supporting on all that stuff. And I'll love you to the moon and back. And, we'll see you again next month for book 5. Bye.